Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic headquarters. It's about 10:56 on a Friday. Hope everyone's doing good. It is yet another week down in the first full week uh, being back to school. Basically, we had a vacation. We had a Labor Day that was a very short week, and so now we're in our first full week of school. But hard to believe. It's crazy how time does go by, and we're already into the school year and all that jazz. But anyway, I've been having a blast here at Film Fanatic headquarters. I've been getting all kinds of movies. I have had some problems though, aside from my enjoyment of movies, and I've been really well, I've been buying a lot more movies, but I've been also seeing and discovering all kinds of new movies that I'd never seen before. With some films I saw many years ago that I just got on Blu-ray, and but it's been awesome. And but I've had some I've had some issues around social media. Basically, I have an Instagram page for Film Fanatic, and it's been down for almost 2 weeks. And I got a notification saying that I had, with my Film Fanatic page, that it violated community standards. And at first I was like, wait, what the heck's going on here? And then I remembered about probably about 3 months ago or 4 months ago, during, like, kind of in the beginning of the summer, I got this notification saying that I had violated community standards. This was on Instagram, at Main Film Fanatic, and I used that page essentially as the same thing as I use for all of my pages. Um, I have my personal page on Facebook, and I have my Film Fanatic Facebook page, and then I also I'm an administrator to Grindhouse, the Grindhouse Sleaze exploitation page, which is another movie page on Facebook. I'm one of the administrators on that page, and my Instagram page. So I have like four pages that I use and that I run, and then I have my YouTube channel, this channel, which is the main focus, and also my Facebook page, because I've had the Facebook page for probably 7 or 8 years, so probably about 7 years now. And I basically do the same thing every time. I do the YouTube channel is the newest thing. It's about a year. I've been doing it for a little over a year, where I just do video content, and then I also do it's all videos. So, and then Facebook page, I upload upload the videos to my uh, personal Facebook page, and then my Film Fanatic page, and then I also usually, for the most part, for every video review or video show that I have a regular formal kind of review where I'll have like a thumbnail or a photo of the artwork from that film, and I'll write a little review or a blurb about it. Sometimes they're longer in length, sometimes they're very short. But I typically do that with each video. And with those, I post those to all of the pages. So I got this notification a while ago, and I was like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, "I know you can get flagged on Facebook or on YouTube, especially for content that is deemed to be offensive, whether you're using something that's very gory or something that has foul language or sexual content." And so I basically have been doing the same thing for a few years, and I don't haven't really changed anything. Like anybody out there knows, that cares or whatever, is most of the stuff I post is all horror based stuff. So I haven't really changed anything. I don't seem. It doesn't seem to be a thing of where I post. I don't recall posting anything that is outwardly offensive or super graphic or offensive. But apparently, I guess one of the posts apparently got that reaction. And I guess that was the case. But when this first happened and I got this email, my Instagram page was basically suspended or shut down for 2 days. I've never had a problem on any of the other pages. Never had even a problem on YouTube. So after 2 days, 3 days, it went away, and I was like, okay, that was weird. And then I was back to business, back to normal, back to normalcy. And then about 2 weeks ago, I got this other email saying that the same thing. Basically, my post violated community standards, and I was like, what the hell's that about? And I've done the same exact thing. I express my love for these films, and so I don't know what happened, and I cannot get access to my page. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's very frustrating because the Instagram page has been really great. I'm proud of that page. I also use it a lot for music promotion. I use it a lot for Quantum, my band Quantum. I use it for gigs when we have these shows. I also the only other thing that I post also on these pages, like on my personal page and then my Facebook page, and then also on this channel and Instagram, I use those areas, those pages to promote quantum gigs, different things that we've been doing or gigs that we've we've done or that are coming up. That's the only thing else that I use as far as aside from the film stuff. There are music videos also. I do little reviews. To me, it's all interconnected. But that's it. And I'm really proud of the Instagram page because I think it looks good. I think the reviews are good. I think the movies I talk about are great, are awesome, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not sure what the hell is going on, and it's very frustrating. I don't know. It's either two things. Either I got reported by some douchebags because they were offended by they are offended by horror films, and if that's the case, they should go fuck themselves. And if the other possibility is I got hacked, so I'm not really sure. Trying to figure it out. I've been trying to figure it out, and I'm at my wit's end with it, so I'm taking a break. But other than that, I'm still doing these videos. But anyway, that's the end of that long and winded story. So in my travels, was my last. Yeah, it was my last pilgrimage to my favorite place, Bull Moose Music. I went there probably a week ago, and I scored on some killer movies. I went to the Bull Moose in Bangor, which overall, it's funny. Each Bull Moose is very different from another. There's a one that I discovered a few weeks ago in right outside of Lewiston, Maine, which I had no idea existed, and it's a huge. It's one of the biggest ones. It's almost as big as the one. The biggest Bull Moose is in South Portland, almost in Saco. That's the biggest one, and that one is amazing. But it's like a 2 hour. It's almost a 2 hour drive. So I don't really go there that often. If I'm down there, I'll stop, but it's very sporadic. This one was great though. The one I discovered. They had a lot of killer movies, but my favorite one is the one in Bangor. Waterville is actually really good too. Now it was reaching a point where it was really disappointing. Less and less titles in the world of movies, and especially exploitation. So I picked up one of my favorite monster movies of all time. Probably my favorite kind of creature feature movie, and it's also I have to say it's my favorite movie. That is a part of the whole Universal monster franchise, and that is The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I picked this bad boy up on Blu-ray. I fucking love this movie. This is my all-time favorite kind of monster. I look at this movie as just a straight-up creature feature monster movie, and this is my favorite. I just think that this movie is kind of a masterpiece, and the way the techniques, like the way this film was shot, especially with there being so many underwater scenes. I just think that this movie is a trailblazer. I think that this movie was so ahead of its time. I think it's generally a scary movie. It's very suspenseful. It's got a great cast. It's a relatively straightforward story. I mean, it's a classic monster movie, but it's so well done. The effects, the practical effects. It's a darker movie. I think this movie is darker than and just an overall better film than. I don't think this movie gets the credit that it deserves. Um, and I've seen this movie so many times, especially when I was a kid. This movie always actually scared me more than the rest of the Universal monsters. As much as I love the classic, monster movies, with Frankenstein, with Boris Karloff, all the numerous movies that he did. Boris Karloff as the Mummy, you know, no, amazing, all amazing movies. Bela Lugosi as Dracula, all of those films. The and then Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman. I mean, classic movies. But this movie, again, this is for me the best. Uh, and it's hard to believe that this came out in 1954, and it was directed by Jack Arnold. The other fact that I always forget, and this transfer of this movie is just amazing. There's two options. There's a really good documentary on here about the history of the creature from the Black Lagoon. When you think that this came out in 1954, it's kind of jaw dropping on how well this movie was made and how timeless this movie is. Um, there's a really great documentary on this set about about the making of this movie, and it's so interesting and fascinating. And one of the things I always forget about this movie is that this was the first. It was the first movie that Universal Studios, the first monster movie that they put out. I always forget that this movie came out before Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman, and even the Mummy, the Invisible Man. All of the original kind of IP monsters. This Creature from the Black Lagoon was the first one, and I was always like, I always forget that idea. Um, that's it kind of blows my mind. I feel like this one is definitely the most out of all of the movies. And again, I love them all, but out of all the movies, I feel like this one is one of the most underappreciated. It's definitely regarded as a classic, and it's looked to as being, one of the great movies in the creature feature genre, or your classic monster movie. But I feel like obviously the two movies that get the most notoriety and praise are the Frankenstein films, and Bela Lugosi as Dracula. And of course, I love those movies. Um, but I feel like, and again, I've seen all of those movies on DVD. I have all of those movies. I eventually want to get all of the Universal monster movies on Blu-ray. I don't have them. I own all of them on DVD. I have a really great DVD collection of all of the films, like a box set, and it's really good. Quality's pretty good. But this is the only Universal monster movie that I have on Blu-ray, and this edition is just unbelievable. It's like the cinematography also is just so ahead of its time, and it's breathtaking. It's amazing how just incredible this looks on Blu-ray. It's all black and white. I'm a huge fan of black and white cinema, and it's just it's pristine. It's incredible. Um, because I generally, and again, this isn't really, well, it's a little bit of a criticism, but I generally think that uh, as much as I love the Bela Lugosi Dracula and Frankenstein films, and I'm huge fan of both Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney Jr. I mean, amazing. Probably the other film I think that is just amazing is Abbott and Costello meet Dracula and Frankenstein. That movie is amazing. That was one of the first movies I saw when I was a kid that introduced me to those iconic monster characters. That would be something to really buy on Blu-ray. It's one of the greatest movies. Quentin Tarantino's talked about that film as being one of his favorite films, and it really is. But I need to upgrade and get some the rest of the Universal movies on Blu-ray, which I will eventually. But there's something different about. I feel like the Bela Lugosi original film Dracula and also even Frankenstein. I think that those, as great as those movies are, and I've seen them so many times, there's something about them that I just feel like it doesn't hold up as well. When you watch those films together, there was a couple of years ago, I was on a big kick of wanting to rewatch all of these classic monster movies, and it's funny too because my favorite, out of that whole kind of mythology, horror mythology is how I think of it. With vampires and Dracula and Frankenstein and all of and then the Wolfman, the werewolf, and with Creature from the Black Lagoon. Um, Obviously, when you look at the genres for each of those monsters is massive. Like especially the vampire genre and the Dracula genre. That's probably the easily the biggest. There's so many vampire movies, and I'm a huge vampire film fan. My favorite being Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola, and there's so many great films. And I'm a big fan of a lot of the Frankenstein films. Huge fan. Dracula vs. Frankenstein, the exploitation movie that came out in the late '70s, is probably one of my favorites. As ridiculous as that movie is, um, and but I'm a huge Frankenstein fan. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of my favorite books. Also, Bram Stoker's Dracula is one of my favorite horror books, novels, and then the same thing with werewolves. But I'm overall my favorite genre in that mythology. I love. I'm more of a werewolf guy. I love the werewolf um, lore, the mythology, and all things related to that. That's my favorite. My favorite werewolf movie being that I recently bought on Blu-ray, which I was super psyched, is The Howling. That's my favorite film. But there's so many great werewolf movies. They don't make them like they need. There is a new werewolf movie coming out, which I'm kind of excited about. But anyway, there's something about those films, the original Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein, the original Dracula, as great as those films are, in comparison, I feel, to The Creature of the Black Lagoon. And again, these movies came out in the 50s and 40s and what have you. So there's going to be obviously a dated thing about them. But I think that those two movies are a little bit more dated than you think. When you watch them, there's a little bit of a time where they where I don't know, it gets a little too slow, or it's a little bit too dated. It's not in the wrong, not in the cool way. At least I feel. But I feel like The Creature from the Black Lagoon, of course it's dated, but it's so well written, and to me there's no lull in the film. It's just really exciting. There's no there's the momentum doesn't kind of fall out. I feel like that does happen a little bit with the original Universal monster movies. There's all these great moments, there's all these iconic scenes that happen. Their presence as the monsters is incredible. but I feel like they weren't, the direction wasn't so well. There, it wasn't done so well. There's lulls in those films where the momentum kind of loses and it's a little bit dated. They're still iconic and masterpieces, but with Creature, Black Lagoon, I feel like it's seamless. They're top to bottom. The other thing, the biggest factor I think for this film that makes it such a masterpiece is there's all of these scenes, and again, I'd never seen it on Blu-ray until a couple of days ago. There are all these amazing scenes. Almost most, really, thinking about it, most of the scenes take place underwater, and there's so much underwater. There are so many underwater action sequences that it's amazing. Like it looks so incredible how, and I don't know how the hell they pulled these scenes off back then. I mean, even now it's challenging. When you think of movies now, you know, that were shot underwater. Well, one movie I think of, like James Cameron's The Abyss, um, and well, the Avatar movies. But you think of, well, The Abyss, for instance, how all the hardships and dangerous things that were happening in that movie for them to shoot, for them to pull it off. And obviously that movie was many years later and had a much bigger budget and all of these things. Um, but you hear all of the stories, with Ed Harris almost dying, during that film, almost drowning, and just all of the hardships that they endured to make that film. And then when I think of The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which came out in the 50s, it's astonishing how they were able to pull this off, and it looks fantastic. Like watching this film again, I never seen it on Blu-ray until this week. I watched it a few nights, 2 3 nights ago, and it's pristine and the quality is amazing. And this film, I think, is out of all of the other Universal monsters, um, I think it's darker. I think it's a little bit more. It's got a little bit of a higher level of intensity. It's a little scarier. It is, and I don't think it's given the credit that it deserves, especially when it comes to the suspense or the horror element of this movie. The scene, one of my favorite scenes in the movie was the scene with the lead actress, where she is outside of the boat and she's swimming in the lagoon, and she is slowly swimming away to the point of where she's like swimming a little too far away from the boat, and you see that the rest of the actors, and the rest of the actors on the boat are noticing, the rest of the characters are noticing that she is, swimming a little too far, and they reach out to her, and she's like, doesn't could care less. She's just kind of swimming around and enjoying, her time. There's the scene of where she's doing this, but the creature from the Black Lagoon appears, and he's like swimming. He's basically stalking her while she's swimming on the top. And there's all these amazing scenes where he's underwater and he's watching her, and he's like creeping, and he's like swimming around in all of the brush, and he's hiding in all of the brush that's underneath her, and then he eventually swims up to her and he like grabs her leg. That whole scene to me is so creepy and so well done, and the atmosphere is so great, and it is my favorite scene in the movie. I just think it's so well done. It's very suspenseful. Yeah, it's great. So this edition is amazing. It's got a glow in the dark cover, which is sweet. And the other thing that's cool is there's a 2D version and also a 3D version, which is pretty funny. But this is an amazing package, and I got it really cheap. Uh, yeah, Creature of the Black Lagoon. Amazing, amazing film. It's I think I heard that they were gonna remake this, which is like okay. Um, Richard Carlson plays the monster. Ah, such a damn good movie. And this edition is spectacular. I can't recommend it enough. And again, it goes back to the thing I've talked about many, many times in this channel. I've seen this movie so many times I can't even count. But watching it on a really high end, Blu-ray edition, watching it in this format, remastered, it's literally like watching it for the very first time. So, amazing film, highly recommend it. So thanks again, everyone, and we will see you next time. Peace.